Hi, Mark Gordon again from the Curiosity Lab. So, last time we spoke about the mystery, how to figure out the mystery that's around us, especially ourselves. And we worked, as I mentioned, together, my students and I, of what makes us tick. And we asked lots of questions. And this podcast name is Questions They Didn't Ask in High School. We asked a lot of those questions. We've even made them into a game that we have that I'll show you soon. Um, and these questions help you to understand, help me to understand who I am, what I'm doing here, and helps in, you can say it's a starter kit to becoming your own best friend. And so let me fast forward. Um, After I was teaching in this school for at risk kids, we started our own, and it was called the AHA Center. And we started school for high school kids and junior high school kids. We started at 11 o'clock and went to 5 because they found out, we know that now through science studies, that students, as they go through their teenage years, need more sleep. And starting school early robs them of that sleep because they're not going to go to sleep before 11, 12 o'clock at night. So we started at 11. The students showed up much more awake and alive. And we did all kinds of classes, including studying U.S. history, 20th century U.S. history, through music, which students today still remind me of, and that how much fun they had and how much they learned. We studied Bucky Fuller, one of the brilliant minds of the 20th century. He designed the geodesic dome, and he came up with the world game, and he was a thinker that was so far ahead of our times. And what he's saying back in the 70s and 80s, even before then, is now coming true. Um, and so he would say, don't change people, change environments, which we found to be absolutely accurate. You take someone and put them into an environment, think of Eddie Murphy in Trading Places. Um, but if you put someone in a really healthy environment, they're just going to feel better, because we have found out again through science that true learning doesn't happen unless the student feels safe physically, emotionally, and mentally. That's first thing, bottom line. Anyways, I said, fast forward to 2012, and I was walking up a hill in a rural area in the Bay Area with a former student who had done very well. And we had a discussion. He said to me, "You did a lot for me when I was really confused in high school and helped me set me on a path that I feel so much better now. And I want to do something for you in return." And he offered for a year to support whatever I wanted to do, which was just this most amazing opportunity. And so we created the Curiosity Lab, um, which is a educational nonprofit with the mission of finding tools so that any young person, young adult, could begin to discover who they are, what they're here for, to begin to go into that mystery and understand yourself at um, deeper than normal levels, to come from your heart and your soul more than just being a success. I need to go to this college. I need to go that. Then I get the good job, and the good job leads me to, I get the trophy wife and the cars. And that stuff is standard society shtick. That's always the success is pushed into the future. And hey, it's not only in school, it's throughout our society. And that stuff I found doesn't work very well and creates an incredible amount of disappointment and doesn't actually find out who we are as individuals. So, what are the tools? And that's what our mission is and was when we first started, to discover, are there tools that almost anybody can use to find themselves, their true selves, and discover their talents and develop their talents. And one of the key things that we found was, of course, not only using curiosity and play and nature, um, we also went under this theory that what if you surrounded yourself with the things, the activities, the ideas that you love? How would that change you? Because every time you do something you love, you're vibrating at this level that's elevated where you feel your best, you feel yourself in rhythm, in sync. And every time you do one of these things, like for instance, for me, as I mentioned, I still love playing ball. We do that all the time. Um, and every day I try to make up a new game, at least one. Um, and I also love to dance. I don't know if it's dance or whatever, but it's moving my body and in sync and rhythm to music. And I love doing that every day. And every time I do that, time just disappears. I feel my mind quiets or creative thoughts start coming through and my body is moving in a sync. There's even some times where if I hear 5 instruments in a song, I take like Louis Armstrong, who's one of my faves, one of the originators of jazz in the early 20s. And he has a song called Mahogany Hall Stomp. And when that music goes on, I can hear the 5 different instruments, and my arm, this left arm will move to one of those instruments. This arm will move to another instrument. My torso will move to another, and each of my legs, it's like nirvana. And that's this mission of reaching those kinds of spaces and places. So if you take what you love and surround yourself with it and practice it or play with it every day, our hypothesis was that should make you a healthier, happier, more empowered, enjoy life more kind of person. And that's what we've been doing. That's why I live in nature, which, as I mentioned in the previous podcast, is the greatest teacher that we have. By observing how it operates, since we're a subset, we can learn so much about ourselves. And part of this process of surrounding ourselves with what we love is understanding how magnificent our equipment is, the gifts that we've been given, gifts like curiosity, gifts like intuition, gifts like having senses of balance that we don't talk about much insofar as being one of the 5 senses. Okay, what does our equipment say how we learn most effectively? And that's what we've also been working on. So we're going to throw those kinds of things out to you so that you can understand the basic rules. It's like we're given this equipment, we're given like this car, but we're not told how it works or it operates. We just do it the way we are taught. And often we're taught at an early age that life is maybe a very difficult place, that it's not all love and kisses. And we are conditioned to react to that. And what we're also looking at is what is that conditioning that may not be accurate anymore to us, but that we felt as so young. And we responded and behave in certain ways that may not work today or may not work insofar as making us healthier and happier. So we're looking at that as well. What is our conditioning? How does that affected us? How do we free ourselves from that? Okay. Or at least to acknowledge how it has shown us to be not at our best. Okay, so one of the other things we offer besides surrounding ourselves with what we love is to create a witness or an observer or mindfulness. This is pretty well known at this point, but how many of us are operating on two channels at least? The channel of us being our actor, where I'm doing this, but also where I'm observing myself doing this. And so that decreases the power of that conditioning, which may not be positive or healthy for us. And that also allows us to not be in control by the ego, which over and over again I've discovered is not our friend. It's a good tool. The old saying, it's a good servant, but not the master. Okay. So we're going to give you some of those tools of how to figure that out as well. And the last part, besides surrounding yourself and what you love, besides creating the observer of yourself so you don't get too tied in and life can become more of a game rather than this serious play, or not even play, drama. The third thing, okay, is to know what your values are. Why is that important? What's the difference between values and beliefs? But values are a key thing. If you know what they are and you use them and operate and behave from them in alliance with your values, you become a stronger, more healthier person. So those are the kinds of things that we're going to offer up and possibilities. And you can pick and choose what makes sense for you. But the ultimate goal is to discover who you are and what makes you tick, and where those places where you feel at one with the universe and connected. So thank you. Speak to you next time, and take care.